one of the things in this purport, I'll just read part of it. Lord Krishna was personally present at the sacrificial arena, but this does not mean that he had any interest in his own personal benefit. Krishna, again, Prabhupada is saying that Krishna came because he wanted to come, not that he had to come, because he wanted to come. And people that are written about in this purport, like Mary Devi and King the king, what's his name? King Amir? Navi. And we were talking of reading about Priyavrata. In one sense, they're not like really dominant personalities, and they sometimes seem to have imperfections in their life. Like there was a conversation that took place on a walk. I think Satsarupa Maharaj asked Prabhupada this question about Lord Brahma. That Lord Brahma, he's the head of our sampradaya, and yet we find that at one point he was lusty after his own daughter. And how could he be the head of our sampradaya if such impurity exists? And Prabhupada gave a very short answer. He said that yes, there's not all devotees are perfect. I don't know what exactly he said, but and then he went on to say that Radharani is the perfect embodiment of love of Krishna. So the idea is that somebody may not be perfect, but they're in a very high position. Like when Lord Chaitanya retrieved the fifth chapter of the Brahma Samhita, he was very happy. And Prabhupada often quotes what Lord Brahma said, and Lord Brahma is known as the head of our sampradaya. So the idea is that even though someone is imperfect, once they're on this level of Paramahansa or a highly elevated person, due to Krishna's mercy or due to some special karmic reaction, good karma, what we call it. But it doesn't matter if we can see imperfections, but because we're loyal and obedient, and that's one of the qualities, one of the 26 qualities of the devotee is loyalty and obedience. I don't know what the actual Sanskrit word is, but there's a form of loyalty. It's a very important quality for a person who has all the good qualities. And it's interesting that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that verse, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhaktivati Kinchana, is quoted from the Bhagavatam, which means that if one becomes a devotee, all the qualities naturally become manifest in him. And then 2 verses later, he specifies these 26 qualities of a devotee, that even though they automatically appear, we can measure our spiritual advancement by seeing how many and how much are the 26 qualities manifesting within ourselves. So I think our time is about up. We have time for a couple of questions, a couple of comments. Yes, Dhanashwami.
That first quality is truthfulness, the first quality?
I remember as does not quarrel with anyone.
Does not quarrel.
Friendly. I don't know, but they're not necessarily in the order of importance.
They're not.
And the last 3 are poetic and something in silent. Expert in silent. Poetic, expert in silent. Kavi, Daksha, and whatever silence is. So those qualities. And Prabhupada thought it was very important that we measure ourselves with its qualities, because in 26 Second Avenue, when he was down there, he made a list of these 26 qualities and posted them in several copies, posted them on doorways, so people would see what they were. And at some point, he listed the 4 regulative principles and said, please try to follow these as much as possible. Yes?
It doesn't mean, it could, if this doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, I can't remember. But anyway, when people aren't coming to Krishna consciousness, and the soul is naturally attracted to Krishna consciousness, should we see that it's something that we're not doing right, or?
There's a verse in the Charitamrita that says, Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sadhya. It means that Krishna consciousness is actually present in all beings, not only human beings, but even in animals. And that the Krishna consciousness preaching is a matter of awakening that. So sometimes we see that sometimes people manifest certain qualities of goodness, and that's Krishna consciousness struggling to get through in a godless situation. It's very difficult for people to manifest the good qualities because Maya is very powerful, and because we have simple desires that are very deeply buried within our hearts, and also because Krishna says that he has a curtain of Maya surrounding him, so that he doesn't manifest his qualities easily to everyone. So it's difficult. But by by prasadam distribution, by book distribution, by preaching to people individually, and by different ways, by harinams. The natural Krishna consciousness begins to manifest and shine through. So it's not because we're doing anything wrong, it's just because there's a lot of elements that are opposing Krishna consciousness. So it was an imperative for all devotees to preach somehow, through harinam, through prasadam distribution, through book distribution, through Vedic hospitality in different ways, whether it's in a very small way or a very big way. But it's not that we're doing something wrong. And in one sense, Prabhupada said that preaching is a thankless task. We may, only one out of many thousands of people that are approached or that have prasadam or something like that decide to become devotees.
To us, do those pastimes have particular relevance, or?
It seems that way. It seems that way. I mean, I don't know if you heard what she said. And it's also been said that Lord Sheshanaga, who is Balaram in the manifestation of a giant snake with many heads, is always constantly glorifying Krishna, but never is able to finish all of the wonderful qualities that Krishna has. So it does seem that the particular qualities that are in Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita and that we hear about Krishna are the most important ones, because those are the ones we read. And I've heard that the Bhagavatam has many more verses that they were spoken on higher planetary systems. Instead of 18,000 verses, it's millions. It's over 1 million verses long. So there are many qualities of Krishna, and there are 64 qualities mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion in different places. But because Krishna's qualities are unlimited, there appears to be a lot more, infinite numbers. Infinite meaning that we can never reach the end of talking of Krishna because of his qualities are infinite. But it does seem that the ones that we read about are the most important ones. Otherwise, why would we be reading these books over and over again? Yes?
Listening to the lecture that Radhanath Swami gave in the House of Commons the other day, he was quoting St. Francis of Assisi. He was talking about how we should present ourselves.
How we should?
Present ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
He said we should preach 24 hours a day, and then sometimes we should say something. And he was putting the argument forward that our character and how we interact with the people is way more important than actually just physically preaching to someone. People are more attractive to that.
You mean to say that people are more attracted to our character?
Yeah.
And how many people we are and what we say.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. And sometimes people have wondered, how can you preach 24 hours a day? You have to sleep. And one of the things that Prabhupada said was that in previous times, the only kind of light entertainment, so to speak, there was when there was storytelling. And the stories were all from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So people would dream, they would go home, even when they were very young, they would dream of Krishna. So this is a form of, what we might say, a form of Krishna, being Krishna conscious anyway all the time. So I'm glad to stop. Prashad might be getting cold. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sorry? No. My recording.